Wonderful. Well, welcome everyone to our next alumni career workshop, Reconnect and Renew Your Satisfaction with Work with Sabrina Woods. I'm Maura Sweeney. For those of you who I haven't met yet, I'm the Director of Alumni Career and Professional Development, and I'm thrilled that you're here today. We'll be together for about an hour, and Sabrina has a really great interactive presentation for us today. So make sure to have a paper and pen ready and really get ready to reflect and to share those thoughts with us if you're comfortable. I encourage you to submit questions throughout this presentation. It's a dynamic presentation, so you can use the chat feature to submit questions as we go along, and we'll be keeping an eye on that. And this presentation is recorded, and I'll share it with all participants in a few days when it's ready. Now it's my pleasure to introduce you to today's presenter. Sabrina Woods is a holistic career and life coach and consultant with 20 years experience in the career services field at universities including Harvard, Northeastern, and the University of London. She is also the president of the Career Counselors Consortium based in Boston. In her private practice, her joy comes from tapping holistic and mindfulness-based practices while helping people with major career transitions. Sabrina also facilitates workshops and train-the-trainer sessions ranging from the Myers-Briggs to mindfulness to LinkedIn. Her workshops combine her insights, enthusiasm, and infectious energy, and sessions have been taught in the US, UK, and Middle East. And with that, I will hand things over to Sabrina. It is really fabulous to have you here with us.
Maura, thank you so much for the warm welcome. And I am delighted to be here. This is a new-ish session for me to be teaching and sharing with all of you. And it feels just right to be doing it at this time as we kind of think about, even if we're not going back to school, there's always this mentality, I think, about that sort of fall being a fresh start, maybe a chance to kind of re-engage with the work that you're doing. So we have lots of different parts to this session, but gratitude is actually one topic that can help us to re-engage with our work. And I thought it'd be a great way for us to start. So if you're comfortable, open up the chat box and think about something even really small that you're grateful for. It can be in your personal life or it can be in your work life. And it doesn't have to be big. It can just be, and it can be something you notice today. You can look out your window and just notice the temperature even. So I'm just going to give you a moment to kind of add your name, your location, and something you're grateful for. So while those are coming in, Maura already mentioned that we're going to be doing some deeper thought and some reflection. You can certainly do it on your laptop, but there's something about pen to paper that I feel, I don't know, at least for me, it accesses things sometimes in a different way that I find helpful. So that's an invitation if you'd like to do that. This session will be using mindfulness, some deep breathing for one section, and some reflection to really kind of tap into what you love about your work, some talents you enjoy using. And basically we'll be talking and even reflecting back on how have you changed? So much has happened in our world in the last 18 to 20 months. So what's shifted in you? We'll have an opportunity to look actually deeper at our values. And then once we're more clear on our values, we can say, how are they showing up in our workplace? And is there anything I can do that's in my power to shift my work so it's in better alignment with my values? We'll talk about the concept of flow that comes from a book by Csikszentmihalyi. And at the end, we'll give you an opportunity to pair up with one person and think about what have you re-tapped into today? And is there any action you might like to take to be in that better alignment with good work satisfaction? So that's our roadmap for this. I'm going to turn it back over to Maura and have her share out what are some of the things that our alumni have said they're grateful for today.
Sure. I love starting with this.
Yes.
let's see, grateful for being able to take a bike ride today at lunch break. It is
That's
lovely
me.
outside. Grateful to be working from home. Grateful for my son. Grateful for refreshing, non-humid, sunny weather. Grateful to be able to enjoy the weather and walk around. Validation from 2 friends in a phone conversation that's this morning. That is wonderfully grateful.
I love that.
Yes, wonderful. Yes, so a lot of things that we're noticing and grateful for today.
Some people have a practice where they do a gratitude journal or just notice things. I've called it sometimes MMs, mindful moments or meaningful moments or memorable moments, where you just kind of reflect and say, what hit me today that was impactful or delightful? So those are some kind of nice ways to bring gratitude in, to focus on the good, because our tendency, right, is to kind of dwell on some of the negative. But if we can shift our attention, sometimes we can recognize how good things are right now, and it can up our satisfaction. So let's just do a slightly deeper check-in on how you are. And we'll use something called annotate, because some days might feel like this. Where's the music coming from? And why do 3 screens frozen right now? And I've got way too many things going on at once. I just love this. I could really resonate on certain days that's how my mind felt. But we'll use annotate and do a check-in to see where you're at. Annotate is a feature you should see under view options, a couple down. I'm hoping this is on your screen. Hopefully it will be. And we'll just go in to annotate and go into, you can either write or you can go into something called stamp and add a stamp about where are you at in this moment. You might just pause and say, where am I at? Am I quite good considering, or am I more just doing okay? So let's see if this is working for you, to add in a stamp, and you can even change the color of it. And we can just see, where are we at today? Nice. I love that I haven't seen this before. We've got people that are right on the border. I'm like, I'm between doing okay and pretty good. I love seeing that, right? Pretty good to good. And it may shift if I have a good lunch break, or maybe I should take a screenshot, and at the end of the session, I should see if we've bumped up. Although if we haven't, I've done a terrible job as a presenter, right? But thank you for that. I love to feel a little tiny bit of that connection. I feel that when I do this exercise with annotate. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clear those off. Clear off those drawings and turn off annotate for the moment, and then move on to this slide. Another funny one, right? Can you relate? Oh, it's the weekend. We've had this period of really blurred boundaries, and I'd like to kind of move into a first reflection question. I'm going to ask you some questions. I'm going to give us some breathing, and actually invite you to write. So if you reflect on the last 18 or 20 months, given everything from racial intensity to environmental intensity to pandemic to politics, I think that in some ways we may have shifted or changed, and we may have learned something more about ourselves. So I'm going to invite us to do these breaths, and I've got this next slide that will help us. So we'll do a couple of breaths and then have paper ready, and I'll put those questions back up. I love this from mindful.org. So I'm going to invite on the next inhale to join in for 3. Inhaling and exhaling. 2. And 3. Just gives us that little pause. And I'll invite you to keep those breaths going for a few moments and have some quiet contemplation to think about these last 18 to 20 months. I'm going to give us, think about, for my timing. Yeah, let's take about a minute or two. Anything that comes to mind. We're going to have other reflection moments, so we're going to be building on this, but this is a nice one to start at. Where are you at right now? We're not critiquing, we're letting this be a brainstorm. So anything at all that comes to mind, and you do not have to share this, this can be private. And just take another 10 or 15 seconds. Just jot down anything else that's there. Like I said, this is going to be a lot of reflection, a lot of writing, and sharing later on at the level you wish to. So our next piece is a building block. Like I said, we'll be able to share components of this at a later point, at another point. But what I'd like to shift to next is very specific to our core values. And Maura sent out a handout. You can double check your email if you missed that message. And so that you can download a handout, or you can use the words that are on this slide to help. But what I'd like to give you the opportunity to do is to look back at that handout and process and highlight or circle or underline any of those values. And yeah, please raise your hand or send a text message to Maura if for some reason you don't have it, so we can get it to you. But I'd love for you to, in this more kind of relaxed and open frame of mind, think about what represents you. What are those values that are who you are and what you also appreciate in your environment? And I'm going to give you 3 minutes for this one. And at the end, we'll just say, if you feel like it, you can add in your top 3 or so, or 3 that just happen to be resonating the most in this moment, because this is hard. There's a lot of values on there. I go, yes, 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 to so many of them. So just a moment for you to kind of distinguish which ones really matter in the now moment for you. And it can be your whole life, or you could say what's important to you in your work. I will let you decide on that one. So again, I'll give you 3 minutes. Let us know if for some reason you don't have the handout, and we will invite you to share them if you wish at the 3-minute mark. So go for that. And I'll give you a warning at the 2.5-minute mark. It's giving you this chance to be with yourself. We often don't carve out time for this kind of reflection.
Every time I do this activity, it's like painful to get it down to a few.
I don't want to give up any of these. Yeah.
No. And they're all good. I think that's what's hard, is they're all good things. It's just a matter of what kind of takes precedent. Or what I like to think about is you might kind of see other values through the lens of one that's stronger. That helped me to distill it down.
Like one person I see has family up there, and then I have compassion, but it's for self and others. So that would include my family. So it's like, it's interesting to see how, what framework we each use to make those decisions and what each of those words really means to you. And I had fun with mine because I had 3 C's: connection, creativity, and compassion. And when I do a session like this, that's small group and interactive with someone like you, Maura, I feel like I get all 3 of those buttons pressed in a good way. So I'm really grateful when I get to work with a group like this, because I get to have a sense of connection. I feel like a compassionate individual for sharing these ideas, especially about taking care of the self. And it can be really creative. So more, when you glance at those, is there any theme, or are they all over the place in different words and different phrases? What are you seeing as you glance at those?
Yeah, let's see. It looks like there's a fair amount of learning, a fair amount of authenticity I see. Flexibility and wellness have come up a few different times. Connection, collaboration. Yeah.
Great. It's fun to see these.
Mm.
And it's fun to see people kind of like also putting together their own combination, of what things mean. And adding in different things like forward motion, deciding what is it for you. So a future step, if any of you want to take this on after this session, is to take those 3 to 5 words, or 7 if there's more that are really important, and say, where do they show up in my life? And we'll have a little bit more reflection. and integration time, but a next step might be to do that exercise and say, where is it showing up, so that you can see if there's some holes. Do you need, for me, like, I really know that I need to set aside time for creativity when I'm doing a brand new session, for example, or set aside time for learning so it doesn't slip. Make commitment to learning. So you'll have an opportunity to do that at a later point if you wish. I think it's a good exercise. So from here, I'm going to switch into another topic that I think can be helpful for us to reconnect to our sense of satisfaction at work. And that is the concept of flow state. I'm going to do a stop sharing. If people want to turn their video on just to have a little chat, you're welcome to. You don't have to, but I just wanted to be able to see you and see Maura and talk. I'm curious, has anybody ever heard of that book, Flow? And again, it's Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, who is the author. I don't know, this might even be from the 90s. You can do a raise hand if you've heard of it before, or you could actually just pipe in and say, what is that word? If you've heard it just in everyday language related to work, does it mean anything to you? So I'm really relaxed. You can type something in or just unmute yourself and say, oh, Sabrina, I've heard of it, but I don't really completely understand, but I think maybe it means a little bit of this. No right or wrong here. So just an invitation if you feel like it. Okay, and Laura raised a hand. Do you want to go ahead and share?
Sure. I've heard the word in the context. Actually, I heard it in a podcast yesterday.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But I've heard in the context of the book Designing Your Life or Designing Your Career, you know, the book, where they have you track your flow when you're working on certain projects.
That's great.
I struggle with actually getting into those flow moments at work sometimes. But the podcast was on happiness, and they were talking about those flow moments when even you're doing the hard things, you're so captured by them that you're just in this state of just flow and engagement.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily an easy thing either. It's what I heard you say. Sometimes you're doing something challenging or difficult, being kind of put to the test a little bit. That is one attribute, is that we're challenged but not overcome by it. So we're really to the point of engagement, not defeat. Yeah, it's a great element. And I'm glad you're Design Your Life is one of my favorite books, and an incredible resource for anybody who is trying to make a career change or just trying to stay in touch with what really matters in their work. More, I'll ask if anything's coming up in chat, but I'll also see if anybody else wants to add to what Laura said about this word. And I'll give it more definition too in a second.
Yeah, I was actually going to say that it sounds familiar hearing Laura talk about it. I haven't read anything specific about, at least not with that actual definite, word choice. So I'll be really interested to hear.
Yeah, have you heard it, Elizabeth, like in common language? Oh, I was in the flow. It was great. Like that kind of, oh yeah, I lost track of time. I was totally in the flow. I think we use it sometimes in those ways, and losing track of time is one of the definitions. And I'll flip over to Maura to see if anything's popping up in chat.
Yeah, one person commented they've heard about it, but haven't read that book specifically. And to someone else, flow is when work and life takes less effort.
Yes, there's capability when we're in that flow state. So I'll give you, there's probably 10 different attributes of flow, but I'm going to give you 4. One is intense concentration, like you're engaged. So you kind of like you're in that zone of engagement and concentration. Now, this next one is knowing what to do and having the skill to do it. So there is challenge plus capability. There's a good mix of it. Like, oh, I know what I need to do, but this is not straightforward. It's not just like, oh, washing the dishes. You can do that mindlessly. It really engages you, and challenges you, but you know what to do. So that's the second one. The third attribute I love is losing a sense of self and losing a sense of time. So you can be like, maybe somebody is in their wood shop and they're working out a project and using, the lathe and sanding things down. And you could look up and be like, oh my gosh, Saturday afternoon, 3 hours just went by and I just lost it because I was so in that space, right? And the fourth attribute that I just want to bring up is intrinsic motivation. So we have extrinsic is someone baiting you. Oh, you want to do this work so that you can get promoted or you can get more money. That's extrinsic, driven from the outside world. Intrinsic is there's something in you that wants to do this work. So intention, concentration, or engagement, having some challenge, but knowing what to do, losing sense of self and time, and intrinsic motivation. So we'll go see if there's anybody else that wants to make a comment, because I'm going to give you a few minutes to think about when you've been in flow state. And it might be in the past couple of months. It may have to be the past couple of years. You may have to search back to past jobs you've had or volunteer work you've done or projects that you've just taken on yourself. But just checking to see if anybody else had another comment of hearing about flow, just in case. Okay, looks like we're good. So I'm going to go back into sharing the PowerPoint slide. And we'll pick up with this idea of tapping now into do what you love. So I'm going to give you 4 different questions. I'm going to put them all up at once, and you might just choose one to write about. And we'll have I think a couple of minutes, probably. Yeah, we're doing pretty good for time. So we'll have 3 or 4 minutes for you to have some quiet and reflect. So you might, beyond the flow state idea, thinking when you're in that engagement, you might think just in general about your field. What do you like about the field you're in, the company you're in, or the particular position you're in? What do you love about it? What is it that gives you that, ooh? The next question on here is, I love it. What lights you up? And these may overlap with the other 2, right? But sometimes asking it in a different way can be helpful. And then the last question is, what talents or skills do you feel the sense of satisfaction when you use them? So again, you can answer all 4 real quick, or you can go deep on 1 or 2. I'm going to set my timer. I think I will do 4 minutes. And if you need to get up, grab a glass of water, stretch. We don't do enough of that during the day, so do that as well. So again, I'll set my timer for 4 minutes, and then we'll look at what we've got. Okay. Have one more minute. All right. 4 minutes goes fast, doesn't it? I'm just going to give you an invitation if you feel like answering flow state or enjoyment or skills or lights you up, you're welcome to put it in chat. Just if you feel like it. Sometimes it feels nice to just express it. We're gonna look at everything we've done in just a second, but if you feel like it, you can jot that into chat. And I'll just share one of my flow states. I've been doing some deeper work with clients where I'm using guided meditation. My key clients are career changers, and I've been helping people get past blocks or get deeper into what they really care about or what they need by doing guided meditations. And I had 2 this week that were really deep work. And I would definitely say that I was in a flow state while I was spontaneously coming up with guided meditations that met the needs of my clients. It felt really good. And it's funny because the flow state overlaps with love, what I love about my work, which lights me up, overlaps with my talents. There's an integration with all of those when I think about flow state. So feel free to jot down a skill or a project or a part of your job that you love if you feel like it in the chat box. I'll give you a second to do that if you want. And you can just also take a moment to review what you've written down, kind of looking back at it. And I see a few things in here under chat. So meditation, martial arts, life work tasks, love independence, being in the flow, being resourceful and adaptable, love my accomplishments and recognition of success by others, helping individuals and society, put someone else in the flow state. These are great things. So good to witness these in ourselves, right? In this next piece, I'm asking you to look back at all the different components that we've talked about. That very first question about perspective shifting since pandemic and different elements of challenge in our world, to the core values, to the flow state and enjoyment. And, is there a theme here? And is there something you want more of? Is there something you want less of? Sometimes it's just our life is so crammed full that it's hard to even enjoy some elements because it's just so darn, nonstop. I'm learning that. I'm learning to add more breathing room between things. And like I said, I'm going to get a bike ride after this. Very, very short lunch break, but I'm going to get a bike ride and then go on to the next client. But are there any other realizations and even moving into actions? I'm going to give you a few minutes to reflect on this, and then we're going to put you in pairs so that you can have a witness and have someone that you can express this to at whatever level of comfort you're at today. But let me give you a few moments to think about, can we see themes and can we move it into a small action that you might like to take? And it can even be, wow, I think I'll set some time on Sunday with my cup of coffee or tea where I can think about this even more deeply so that I could really be in good alignment and have the best satisfaction that I can in my job right now or life. It doesn't have to limit it to just job. Okay, so let me give you 2 minutes on that before we go into the small pairs. 2 minutes to think about it. Is there an action you can take? Take another 30 seconds or so just to see what's there. What's important right now? Okay. So what we want to do next, I'm going to get Maura's help. We're going to just pop into breakout rooms for 5 minutes and just you can share on a really light level, just talk about, hey, parts of my job that I love include blank, blank, and blank. Or it can be deeper about what these core values are and how they're showing up at work and what you might need more of and any actions you might decide to take because of this session. It can be really small. Let's not discount something that's tiny. So, all right, Maura, I'll have you, hopefully everybody's been in a breakout room before, but if you haven't, it'll pop up on the screen. And again, these are just going to be pairs and they're private. And any discussions we have after this, we can stop the recording so that you won't be on recording for those discussions, nor will you be in the breakout room. So all you do is enter the breakout room, introduce yourself. You can say where you live, where you work, if you like, and then what's standing out from today's session. Okay, Maura.
And sorry,
did I give you enough time to do those?
yes, how long should we have people in?
So we're going to do 5 minutes.
Great, wonderful. Okay, and Sabrina, it automatically makes me put you in one, so you can just choose not to accept the invitation.
Okay, perfect. It'll put 3 people in that room though, right?
Yes, yep.
Okay,
yep.
Excellent. Good, good.
Okay.
Great.
Good.
2 and 3, that works.
Yep. And I know Erica joined in on another computer. So I just made sure that that I have both of her computers.
Good. Good work. Oh, good. Okay. You've learned a lot about Zoom, haven't you, and how to navigate. Oh, do you want to actually end recording? Because I want to have people feel comfortable talking in this section. Okay, to catch up any of our people that are watching the recording, we just added some ideas onto a Jamboard about next steps. But in closing up today's session, I want to pull from an article I read from the Greater Good magazine out of Berkeley College. And it's 4 pillars of happiness at work. I love these: engagement, resilience, kindness, purpose. Let's take them, define them a little bit more. So for this engagement, this is this feeling of involvement and enjoyment, and I would guess even hopefully a flow state when you're in that engagement. Okay. For resilience, this is about being able to, with ease to some degree, handle difficulties, handle setbacks and challenges, or gracefully, or just knowing this is going to happen, and you're building character when you're working through difficulties and setbacks. The next one about kindness is about, in our workplaces, if we can connect, feel a sense of friendly connection with people. And sometimes it's our clients, our vendors. Sometimes it's directly with our colleagues or our bosses or our past colleagues that we want to reconnect with, or customers. The fourth one, which we had, which was purpose. It's if we can know that some part of what we're doing matters. And remember, this can be really small. You don't have to be a doctor saving people. You know, she's doing great work, but it doesn't just have to be that, right? It can be a small part of your work that feels like it helps a colleague or a client or makes a process run more smoothly, but it matters. That can help us. Maura's going to send the article to you, as well as the TED Talk about flow from Mihai himself, and a couple of the resources, just in case that will be useful for you. And I'll also say you're welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn. And I have mindfulness resources on my website that will also be in that message from Maura. So thank you so much for joining us today. I'll hit the stop share button. People have to get back to work, but it was really delightful to be here. You put me in a flow state when I'm working with you. So I appreciate you for that. All right. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you very much. And I'll let everyone else know too that Sabrina is coming back for another session in October, which I'm very excited about. And that one will be on building the foundation for your career advancement. So first we wanted to get reconnected with work, and the next is to help them figure out how do you want to advance and grow so that you get more of that flow state in your day-to-day life. So keep an eye out for that. It's on the alumni events calendar already. It'll be October 19th.
19th. Yeah.
Same time, same place. So you can register now, get it on your calendar. But this is a real pleasure, Sabrina. It's a delight to partner with you, and I can't wait to be back. So thank you.
Thanks,
and thank you
all.
everyone for your participation.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Sabrina.
Take care.
Bye.